What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the 13 best WWE Mattel action figures ever according to the Sportster. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. Alright, so first of all, you could say this list might be outdated as it came out in February of 2023, and at the time of filming it is December of 2024. But I still want to know what they think, what their opinion is, what they deem the 13 best Mattel figures ever. Now, I have not put together my own list of anything like this to try and argue which is better, which are worse, but I'm just going to give you my honest opinion of each one as it is shown up on the screen. So, for the first one, we're going to have Slim Jim Macho Man Randy Savage, the 2019 Comic-Con exclusive. I think you could put this one on the list. I'd say that. As far as a figure itself, it's just pretty standard. But the fact that Mattel and WWE were able to get an actual licensed collab with Slim Jim, then have it in this packaging, which looked like the Slim Jim containers in the gas stations, along with the gear, and Macho Man coming with 2 Slim Jim boxes to hold in his hand, I think it is all around a perfect set, and I'm anxious to see what it goes for on the secondary market 5 years later at this point. But yeah, you could put this one on the list. That's a really good figure. Number 12, the Asuka WWE Network Spotlight Elite. Now, I think a lot of the figures in the Network Spotlight set were really underrated, and this one was really good. I never picked it up. I don't know why. I think I was satisfied with the original NXT Asuka Elite, but I never picked this one up. And now with 2020 hindsight, the Ultimate Edition blows it out of the water. Whenever this came out in 2018, 2017, 2018, 2019, when this came out, you could argue it was one of the best women's figures at the time. But 2023 and 2024 have been absolutely unreal for women's figures, and this one doesn't hold a candle anymore at this point. Number 11, the Shockmaster WWE Elite San Diego Comic-Con 2016 exclusive. Do I think it's the best ever or the greatest, top 13 greatest? Absolutely not. But the fact that we have the Shockmaster is cool. Then we have the Shockmaster upside down in the packaging is also cool. Then you flip the packaging around and it's like the ripped open drywall basically that he fell through, and you get to see him upside down with the helmet off of his head. I think when it comes to Comic-Con exclusives, this is perfect presentation for that. And hot take, I'll say it deserves a spot on the list. Maybe not number 11, but I'll say it deserves a spot on the list for just being the total package. I love the absurdity of it, and this is what Comic-Con exclusives should be. They should be figures that you don't feel the need to have. But if you want it, it's really cool. It's a unique piece, but you don't feel like you need it in your collection. Number 10, Seth Rollins from Elite 45. The Power Ranger gear, the White Ranger gear, everybody calls it. This figure is top notch. And given the time that this came out, no Seth Rollins figure could hold a candle to it. Now, in the eyes of 2024, we have an updated formula for Seth Rollins with the thicker thighs, which is so much better because the legs were all too small on Seth Rollins. We've gotten head scans that are just light years better. You could take the True FX out of the picture. I think head scans are better. I think that this figure needs to be a front runner for the From the Vault series or Greatest Hits or something like that. We do need Elite 45 Seth Rollins once again on the market, so we can have an upgraded version of this already great figure. As far as current guys, I'll say go ahead and put it on the list. It is pretty solid. And yeah, it deserves a spot. We'll say it does. Number 9, Elite 27 RVD. Does RVD deserve a spot on the list? At the time, this was our first RVD figure, and we didn't know if we were going to get more. He just signed a deal for a small stint in the company. I think it was less than a calendar year, and that's pretty much how it went. Looking back, I don't think this one is deserves a spot on the list. I really don't. I don't know what I would replace it with. I kind of want to go through and make my own list now, but that would make somebody mad because it typically does. But I don't think this deserves a spot on the list. So far on the list we have Slim Jim Macho, Shockmaster, Seth Rollins. We'll take Asuka and we'll take RVD off the list. How about the defining moments, Macho Man Randy Savage from WrestleMania 7? I like it a lot. I do. Now, once again, knowing what we know, if the Ultimate Edition of this would have been released before Mattel or WWE lost, I think it was WWE, lost the Macho Man license, that figure would be on here. But maybe it's because I was not alive during WrestleMania 7. I will say this does not deserve a spot on the list. You guys can see I'm actually putting thought into it. Well, we'll put this one in the maybe. Put this in the maybe. At number 8, we'll put it in the maybe. We'll come back to it. Chris Jericho, Best of Attitude Era Elite, absolutely not. If you're going to put any Chris Jericho on the list from Mattel, do the entrance greats. This one doesn't deserve a spot at all. I mean, we got the Raw as Jericho shirt. Cool. Second time getting the head scan. First time getting the gear. I just don't think it's big of a deal enough. I mean, it represents a great time, but I just don't think it deserves to be on the 13 greatest of all time. So, yeah, number 7, you can wipe that off the list. Bret Hart defining moments. It's a solid figure. It's a well loved and respected figure. If I was going to pick up a Bret Hart, that's how I'm looking at it. If I was going to pick up a Bret Hart, the only quality this one has over others is the Canadian flag. Which, if you are wanting a figure from a Canadian pay-per-view of a guy from Canada, you kind of want the flag. But I think there have been way better Bret Harts put out since then. The only redeeming quality this one has is the package, for one, and the flag. I'm going to say no. I'll probably get some hate for that. I'll say no. Bret Hart defining moments, not on the list at all. Shawn Michaels Ultimate Edition. Now, this was released, once again, early 2023. I don't think this needs to be on there. This figure got a lot of love. I think we've gotten better Shawn Michaels figures since then. I think we've gotten better... Shawn Michaels Ultimate Edition since then. Now, everybody says this is on here. It says one specific attire that seemed to be missing from Michaels Mattel action figure catalog for a long time was the Survivor Series 1997. Now, this is an iconic match. Don't get me wrong. If we haven't gotten it, it is a big deal, and it is a necessary piece to your collection. We'll put it on the list. I thought when I looked over this to begin with, I thought no, but now remembering what match it's actually from, yeah, it's a shame we hadn't had this since 2010 when Mattel got the license. Entrance greats Kurt Angle. Is it a great figure? Absolutely. Is it 13 of the greatest Mattel figures? Not a chance. It was our first Kurt Angle figure from Mattel ever. when it came out in, God, what was it, 2018, 2019? It's from his debut. It comes with a sound box that plays his entrance. I just think when people want a Kurt Angle, they want bald Kurt Angle. And the Elite that came out with his Team Angle sweatshirt, yeah. I think it's hands down better than this one. If you're going to put a Kurt Angle on the list, it needs to be that one. The only redeeming quality here is just the package presentation with the entrance song. I don't even think this is the best entrance greats figure. We already mentioned the Chris Jericho, and that's from when they were basics. But if you're going for best entrance greats figures, I'd throw Jeff Hardy on the list. Or, I'm drawing a blank. The Bobby Roode Glorious figure. Better than this one, I would say. But, I don't think this one needs to be on the list, let alone number 4. Number 3, Finn Balor Ultimate Edition. Now, this is when they were figuring out Ultimate Editions. They hadn't nailed down all the proper workings of them. I remember on this one, the arms would pop off. Like, you would just pick the figure up and the arms would fall out. But I'll take that out because that could just be my figure's issue. When looking at the figure, looking what it has to offer, and just everything about it, the paint work, the accessories, the Ultimate Edition aspect of it, I do think that you could throw this one on the list. It's a really good figure. It's really the Demon Finn Balor to have. I think if you're going to pick one up, this is the one to pick up, unless you're more partial to Judgment Day. But as far as, like, he had some great elites when he was in NXT. And now, like, I'm taking Finn Balor off the list now that I'm thinking about it. There were some really good elites that came from Mattel when Finn was in NXT. And, they could, like, the only redeeming quality this one has over it is that this is an Ultimate Edition. And then it just has the headdress, and it has the arm tassels, and the little, I'm going to call it a skirt thing. Other than that, no, I'd rather have those early days elites of his. Yeah, no, take Finn Balor off the list. CM Punk Ringside Collectibles exclusive Straight Edge Society Elite. Now, this bad boy was deemed so great, and so many people wanted it, that it is now in stock at Ringside if you pre-ordered it. But it was, from the Vault Series 3? I'll say this one was on, this one needs to be on the list, and here's my reasoning. This was released 2011, 2012, and we didn't have Punk, but for 2 more years after that. And it drove the demand of his figures all the way up. And it was so early in the days of Mattel that not all the kinks were worked out yet, as far as like posability and all that with the joints. And this is not even taking into account the double joints, drop down hips, double jointed arms, true effects faces, none of that. This figure was in demand then, and it's still in demand now. It is one of the only figures on the list that is genuinely in demand, except maybe that Shawn Michaels. People want the Bret Hart defining moments men on card just so they can get it signed. People want Macho, but I found this Macho without the hat for like $15 at a flea market. It is the only figure that is still actively in demand. We'll throw Macho up there too. So I'm going to say CM Punk's figure deserves to be on here just because of the fact that, like, it's that big of a deal. So it's time for number 1. What do they deem the number 1 greatest Mattel Elite of all time? Hollywood Hogan Ultimate Edition. Nowadays, people complain we have so many Hogans, we get too many Hogans, but there was a 3 or 4 year period where we didn't get any Hogans because of his legal issues. And this was his first entry into the Ultimate Edition line. This was our first ever NWO Hogan because we were shown one and it was taken away because of his legal issues. Now, since then, we have gotten an Elite Hogan with Mr. T. We've gotten an Elite Hogan in the Coliseum collection. And I think we've gotten another one. And I know we have a re-release coming. And then we have the Ruthless Aggression Ultimate Hogan coming out. It looks really good. And not only do we have this figure, we have an updated version of this figure. So, I'm gonna make this 1A. And instead of this version of it, I would put the tanned version of this figure, because this figure was so such a high want from so many people. And as soon as Mattel got the license, they pumped out a couple Hogans, but his real return to the line was none other than the Ultimate Edition Hollywood Hogan. So yeah, I'll put it on the list, but I want the tan upgraded version of it, the newer release version. But yeah, that's, according to them, the 13 greatest Mattel action figures ever, and they didn't even specify elites. That makes sense. So that Interest Grace Jericho could be on here. But I want to know what you guys think. Of course, we all have our own opinions what the greatest figures ever. You might think that Bret Hart is the greatest thing, and nothing even comes close to it. You might have James Ellsworth in your top 3. Doesn't matter to me. Let me know down in the comments below what you think should and should not be on this list. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and last but not least, take it easy.